Premier Wakeham. Yes, thank you. Looking forward to signing an MOU with you next, MP. Nice to see you. But I have also said many times that Alberta's aim is to double our oil production in the next 10 to 15 years and to diversify our export markets. And that means not only reaching global customers, but ensuring Canadians can benefit from our resources here at home. All Canadians deserve a stable, secure, and reliable energy supply. Alberta is ready to provide that stability and be the heart of a more energy sovereign and economically resilient Canada. And that vision is already taking shape as we work to make up for a lost decade of anti-energy policies from the previous federal administration in Ottawa. After signing an agreement last year to work together with Alberta and Saskatchewan to build new pipelines through an economic corridor from Alberta to Ontario, the government of Ontario is here today to unveil a potential route for a new 3,300-kilometre oil pipeline from Hardisty, Alberta to Sarnia, Ontario. Known as the Northern Shield Energy Corridor, this project would pave the way for Alberta's barrier-free access to domestic refineries and markets in eastern Canada. A new east-west pipeline would move an additional 500,000 barrels of Alberta oil per day, with the potential for a future expansion of up to 800,000 barrels per day. Energy security is essential for all countries, as we all know, and this new corridor will include the concept of a strategic petroleum reserve, or SPR, that will store vital Alberta oil reserves in the Sarnia refinery area to ensure key refined products like diesel, jet fuel, and gasoline are uninterrupted. There is also an opportunity to eventually use this corridor to reach the Atlantic Ocean, which would allow Alberta to provide reliable energy to our nation's European allies. This project will make Canada stronger. By connecting Alberta's energy with Canadian refineries and European markets, we can create jobs, grow our economy, and make the most out of the world-class resources that we've been blessed with. Now that a potential route has been identified, the Government of Ontario is commencing work to estimate costs and examine commercial models and related development opportunities for the energy corridor. This pipeline is another signal to investors that Canada is once again open for business and the best country on earth from which to secure a reliable source of energy. We have so much to celebrate with this and the announcement from last week regarding the West Coast pipeline as well. And our government is supporting producers with added incentives to ensure adequate supplies of oil going west and east for this vital proposed project. In the space of about a year, look at how Canada's public opinion has changed. It's done a 180 on energy. In a poll this week, almost 70% of Ontario residents support new or expanded pipelines, and Alberta is here to support the needs of Ontario and all of Canada with energy in support of a stronger economy, job growth, and prosperity for decades to come. Pipelines have gone from impossible to a national imperative. The Alberta's oil sands have gone from a target to a national treasure, and we're launching the greatest expansion of oil and gas infrastructure and production in decades. Alberta is ready to work with our provincial and federal counterparts, Indigenous partners, and industry leaders to advance this proposed pipeline and energy corridor. And I'm so grateful to Premier Ford, Premier Moe, and the respective governments for being fantastic allies and friends to Alberta. And with that, I'd like to ask Premier Ford to take over and say a few words.
Wow. First of all, thank you so much, Premier, and what a wonderful host you are. You're a wonderful host every year. I come here, and we're just so grateful to have an incredible relationship, not only between myself and Premier Smith, but all the premiers and Premier Wakeham. Thank you for joining the team. We have a great Team Canada. And you're a great asset. with a mandate to build the most competitive, most resilient, self-reliant economy in the G7. We're delivering on our mandate. $1 billion, streamlining government permitting and lowering the tax. We reduced them by $12 billion. We're diversifying our trading partners, breaking down internal trade barriers, and training the next generation of workers for the jobs of the future. We're unlocking the enormous economic potential of Ontario's vast supply of critical minerals, with shovels now in the ground to build the roads to the Ring of Fire, 5 years ahead of schedule. We're building the future of nuclear energy with the first small modular reactors in the G7 and the first large-scale nuclear facilities in decades. If there's one thing we can all agree on, it's this. We need to take action now to protect Canadian jobs and Canadian families. We need to move quicker, faster, immediate. That is why I'm thrilled to be here today, making progress on our agreement from last year as we unveil the route for the Northern Shield Energy Corridor. The Northern Shield Energy Corridor will include a new pipeline built using Canadian steel by Canadian workers that will bring oil from Hardisty, Alberta, to new and expanded refineries in Sarnia, Ontario, including Sarnia's vital energy and shipping routes. The Northern Shield Energy Corridor would move on estimated 500,000 barrels of oil per day, with the ability to expand to 800,000 barrels per day, bringing new capacity to Ontario refineries and delivering critical redundancy for existing pipelines, while creating good-paying jobs for Canadian workers along with the entire route. The Northern Shield Energy Corridor will create new opportunities for Indigenous people, including equity partnerships, job training, and community investments. I was thrilled to hear from Premier Smith announce last week her government's plan to double oil sands production. There's no place I'd rather bring some of that oil than right here in Alberta, shipping it over to Ontario through the Northern Shield Energy Corridor to fuel our province's economic growth and help create new opportunities for Alberta workers. It's a win-win-win. A win for Ontario, a win for Alberta, and a win for all of Canada. While today is an exciting milestone, there's still a lot of work ahead of us to deliver on the Northern Shield Energy Corridor. Ontario will continue to advance its feasibility study, including by exploring new existing port options for pipeline extensions and potential strategic petroleum reserve. We'll define estimated cost, explore commercial options, and engage further with potential private sector partners. We've launched and will honor our duty to consult with Indigenous communities. This new route will also provide Government of Manitoba and the Manitoba Crown Indigenous Corporation with the opportunity to explore the feasibility of a pipeline extension to the Port of Churchill. The Northern Shield Energy Corridor is a critical next step in building a more united, more prosperous, and more resilient Canada. It's a chance to create good-paying jobs that will bring our country together, and it's a chance to make our country and our continent safer or more secure. I look forward to working with Premier Smith and all my premiers to get this done. Thank you, and God bless the people of Canada.
Thank you, Premiers. We'll now go to our media Q&A portion. We'll be taking...
On to that one.
We'll take one question, one follow-up, and a reminder to reporters in the room to please state your name and outlet before asking your question. Media mic is just on the side here.
Yeah, to get big arms to get around this.
We'll go to our first question at the mic. Go ahead.
G'day, Emma Graney with the Globe and Mail. First question off the bat, I mean, who are you planning, and this is probably for Premier Ford when he gets his breath back.
Yeah.
Who are you planning is going to pay for this multi-billion dollar project? Are you thinking private? Are you thinking public? Do you have any companies in mind?
Well, we'll look at both. That's why we're doing the feasibility study. We'll reach out to the private sector, but we won't hesitate to do what the government of Canada and Alberta's doing. So let's take a look at all options, and once we have an answer and we'll have this done by the end of the year, then we'll be able to give you a straighter answer.
So you're open, sorry, Premier, Premier Smith, sorry.
I'll just say the thing to remember about pipelines is they're an excellent investment. That's why we have underwritten pipeline purchases and an equity stake for First Nations, because they are revenue generating projects. And so ultimately who pays for them is the people who use them, the shippers. They pay through tolls. And we've already seen that with the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Yeah, the federal government did front the money, but they're now earning $1.2 billion per year to pay it back. And that's why it's a bit of a different type of infrastructure question than whether you're building public infrastructure, because it is a revenue generating business. And so I'm looking forward. I always hope that we can have private partners come forward on this, because that also allows us to have the market discipline. But I'm grateful that Premier Ford is willing to look at all the options.
I just want to clarify, and then I do have a follow-up to clarify, you're open to it being paid for by taxpayer dollars?
Well, we're going to do that feasibility study, and then we'll be able to go from there. But I think it's a great investment, no matter if it's the government that will get a good ROI over a certain period of time. I always prefer looking at the private sector investing, and I think it's going to be an incredible project. Folks, this is a historic announcement that no one would ever think in 100 years this would be done, but with a great leadership, Premier Smith, we're able to get this agreement moving forward, and it's going to benefit everyone. It's going to benefit Ontarians, Albertans, and most importantly, everyone from coast to coast to coast. So that's what we're focused on. It's going to create thousands and thousands of great paying jobs, and we have to focus on our economy. We have to make sure we're self-reliant, self-sufficient on everything, no matter if it's great Alberta oil coming to Ontario, or critical minerals being shipped out west and around the world, or great nuclear capabilities. Folks, we are an economic powerhouse around the world, and now we have to unleash that powerhouse, make sure that everyone in the world, we can ship Alberta's oil, Ontario's nuclear, and the critical minerals. Not to mention our good friend Scott Moe, that he had a run. I love the guy. Look at potash, look at uranium that he's delivering. So it's a Team Canada approach, and we need to make sure that we get government out of the way, support when we can, but let's start moving. This is a race first out of the gate, basically. And Team Canada plans on making sure we're first out of the gate.
And my follow-up here, and speaking of Team Canada, have you spoken with Premier Canoe about this? How does he feel about it? And how do you envisage a kind of Arctic gateway situation? Because that was going to go kind of through the north, and this is very much south, so it would make that a lot more expensive.
Well, I think the world of Premier Canoe, I've said it 100 times, I think the guy's a champion. He has to consult a little more with his folks in Manitoba, but we'll work something out, and I'm 100% behind putting a pipeline up to Churchill and getting an icebreaker and start delivering it around the world, so we can continue to be an energy powerhouse.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Chris Fargo with the Calgary Herald. A twofold question for you, Premier Ford. First off, what are the next steps and the timelines? And then secondly, if everything went according to your plans, how quickly might you be able to get this pipeline built?
Well, first of all, we're communicating with 77 Indigenous communities, which play an absolute critical role in this, and we're going to do this feasibility study. We'll be back out before the end of this year, and then we'll be able to roll it out. We've already put a plan together where the pipeline, we've been actually working on this for over the last year, and we have some real experts in the province that put a pipelined route all the way through Ontario, from Alberta through Manitoba and Saskatchewan, with the approval of obviously Saskatchewan, Manitoba.
I'm sorry, do you have a timeline on when it might actually be built?
I'll have a better idea once we do this feasibility study, but we aren't going to hold back. We're going to go full steam ahead. We have great steel companies in Ontario, and I understand so does Saskatchewan, so does Manitoba. So we're all going to pitch in, but we have to make sure it's Canadian steel.
And then follow up here for Premier Smith. Premier, you've got already in the works 1.2 million barrels a day with some of the expansions that have already been announced. Then you've got an additional 1 million barrel a day pipeline that would go to the West Coast if it gets built. Now you're talking about an additional 500 to 800,000 barrels a day on top of that. How is the industry going to fill it? And do you think there's actually going to be a demand for this much capacity?
Well, I think we have to look at the time frame. I mean, I've said that we wanted to double oil and gas production over 10 to 15 years. And so when you think of when I made that promise, we were at 3.7 million barrels per day in production. We're at 5 million barrels per day right now. If you look at all of the projects that had at previous points been approved and gone through permitting, but stopped because we didn't have pipeline access, that comes up to about 2 million barrels a day right there. I've talked to a number of different companies already. Every time I meet a producer, I say, what is your current production and how quickly could you expand? And there's some examples I could give you. So I asked that question to Imperial, and they said they have 450,000 in production. They have the capacity to go to 900,000. I asked the question, you look at Blackrod as well. They launched with 37,000 greenfield, and for SAGD, they have the ability to go up to 80,000. Talked to another oil sands producer. They said that they have a 300,000 site, could go up to 700,000. So those are only three companies. So I think that if you look at how we stage it, if we get the incentives right, and we get the environment right to do new greenfield development over 10 to 15 years, I have absolute confidence that we'll be able to do it. Remember, we are one of the largest reserves on the planet. We've got 177 billion barrels of recoverable reserves at today's technology. We've got 1.8 trillion barrels of oil in place. So I think we got to think big, and we've got to be looking at being one of the top three energy producers and exporters in the world.
I'm Felix from Radio Canada. About the oil transiting through this potential future pipeline, will it mostly be for domestic use or exportation?
Well, we use about 400,000 barrels a day. And if we bring in 500,000, well, hopefully we'll have some reserves for a rainy day. But wouldn't it be great, folks, if we could bring this pipeline right across the country, right over to Irving? I think that'd be absolutely beautiful. It'd be beautiful for East Coast provinces, and it'd be beautiful for the people of Quebec as well. But that's up to them. I'm going to focus on Ontario and building this pipeline to Ontario. Then it's up to the elected officials east of Ontario to make that decision.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just say, we already do take oil up the Seaway from Line 9, and it gets refined in Quebec. And so this is an opportunity for us to support Quebec with existing infrastructure. And we'll be looking at seeing whether or not those ships can make it up and over and go to Eastern Canada to feed those refineries, and whether we'd be able to go on to Europe. So I think that regardless of whether we get additional pipeline built, we do have the now access, and with additional capacity, we'd be able to increase our exports to Quebec and Eastern Canada as well.
So the pipeline through, like, that goes towards the West Coast have like capture carbon capture plans embedded into it. Is it the same thing here, or is it not decided yet?
The agreement that we had with the federal government in partnering on the West Coast pipeline, which is our priority, and I think we're both very keen to get that to market very quickly. We're quite a bit more advanced on that one, since we have a project design. We've got a private proponent who's come forward. We've got the federal government willing to partner with us. We have heard from the federal government that they wanted to link those two. We had the Pathways project linked with that West Coast pipeline, and so we're going to be committed to continuing along that path. And remember, the Pathways project has three parts to it. One part is the carbon capture trunk line, but the other part is best available technology. And whether that's nuclear or geothermal that allows us to decarbonize, that's going to be available to any operator once those types of technologies are mature, and once we've built the interties between us and Saskatchewan. So I would say that there's going to be an opportunity to decarbonize all of our barrels once we start moving down that pathway in the coming years.
Thank you very much.
Angelica Toy with Herbal News. Premier Smith, the South Bow pipeline to the U.S. is fully subscribed. It has signed contracts with so many oil producers. It will be full for the next 20 years. The Carney pipeline project has no customers signed up. Isn't it obvious that no one in the industry actually believes this is going to be built? Certainly not enough to put their own money into it.
Well, thanks for the nice neutral question. I would say it's a bit premature to make that point. I think that what we've done with our West Coast pipeline is announced an intention for the federal and provincial government to work together. We've got a private proponent. We have to make sure that we can get all of the Indigenous consultation and ownership stake, make sure that we do the environmental approvals. And I have absolute confidence with the conversations that we've been having with the Pathways Group that we will get those commitments. Remember, you can start a pipeline with a smaller amount going through it, and then you can do compression, just like we're seeing with the Trans Mountain pipeline. They began with a little bit of a smaller volume, but they're also increasing now up to 300,000 barrels. I think it's our job to make sure that we can expand the industry by 2 million barrels. So not only can we fill the South Bow line, we can fill the West Coast line, we can fill our new northern, what were we calling yours? Northern Shield, our new Northern Shield pipeline. And also be able to serve north, south, east, west. I mean, this is the whole point of what we were trying to do in building out economic corridors. So I think it's a great project. We have to remember a few years ago, we were talking about projects in all direction. We're talking about Northern Gateway, Keystone, and Energy East. And for various reasons for each of them, because of regulatory uncertainty or because of permits being canceled, they ended up all stalling. So this is resurrecting all three of those concepts, perhaps on different corridors with some different partners. But I feel like the industry was there 10 years ago. They can be there again.
My follow-up was for Premier Ford. We saw pictures of you campaigning at the Calgary Stampede. Are you trying to shore up support to challenge Pierre Poilievre for the next Conservative Party leader?
Can I borrow that line, that neutral question? I'm going to use it with the Toronto media. This is like a church picnic compared to the Toronto media. But anyways, I wasn't campaigning. People asked for pictures, so I took pictures. There was a lot of pictures, I'll tell you that. But I love the people of Alberta. We share the same values. And we just have a great relationship with the Premier and the folks here in Alberta. I love it here, actually.
Thank you. We have time for one, maybe two more questions.
Hi, Brooks Arley, CBC News. Are you planning to send this project to the Major Projects Office?
Yeah, we're talking to the Major Projects Office and had a meeting yesterday. Don's an extremely brave person. Oh, my goodness. Mm-hmm. And we just hit it off when we had a chat. So we're going to be working hand in hand with her office.
And is there a potential timeline on that?
We're doing it right now, actually. We're working alongside with them. So we're going to keep digging deep and crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and making sure it's a feasible project, which we believe it will be. We have to be self-sufficient. We can't rely on anyone else. We have all the tools in the toolbox right across our country. Let's unleash those, our economic strength and create more. This is all about creating Canadian jobs and Canadian families and putting people to work with great paying jobs. I always say a better job and a bigger paycheck.
Right on. Awesome. Thanks.
And we have time for one last question. Go ahead.
More? Or are we doing more? Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry. And mine's not pipeline related. Okay. So just given the fact that the coal water issue, the question isn't going to be asked. It got rejected by Elections Alberta. Where do we go from here? What do you have to say to that?
Well, I want to thank everyone for participating in the citizen initiative process. It does always give an opportunity for those who care passionately about an issue to share their views with the public and also share their views with government. I've had a chance to meet with Mr. Lund, and I told him that if his petition was not successful, let's work together on addressing some of the concerns that have been raised. We've already addressed them in substantive ways. We've purchased leases and freehold for over 40,000 hectares in this target area in response to the fact that people want these landscapes to stay pristine. We have also banned mountaintop removal and open pit mining on future development so that we can make sure that we don't end up with potential selenium problems like we've seen elsewhere. And we're also mandating that you have to use the best available technology when it comes to water management. And some of that includes underground mines, which is the case for the Valero project. So we know that this has been an issue for some time. We've responded to it through the various policies that we have. There may be more that we can do, but we'll continue to have that conversation. Thank you.
And yeah.
One last one?
Yeah, quickly.
Great, thanks. Richard Warnica from the Toronto Star. Premier Ford, You said back in May that Premier Smith was putting an independence question on the ballot to protect her 30% base. Have you two spoken about the referendum?
Let me talk about that. I think the world of Premier Smith, first of all, and we're focused on a pipeline. I know, well, let me cut to the chase here. The previous federal government, not this one, the previous federal government treated Alberta like garbage, like terrible. I've never seen anything as bad as that. So I know that Premier Smith wants a proud, sovereign Alberta, part of Canada. And again, we're there to support her. It's Team Canada. I'll do anything we can. But thank you for that question. Now, since it's a tradition, I have a new Ford Nation belt. I'm not going to whip it off right here, but I am going to give you the new Ford Nation buckle.
Oh!
There you go. Fabulous.
That's so amazing.
There you go.
I don't have the ability to put mine on.
No, but it looks good. Keeping up the tradition.
Thank you.
Not swinging around like that or anything.
Well, and I understood that he was looking around for his Alberta belt buckle everywhere, trying to find it, and so I got him a replacement. So he always has a backup.
Thank you. I love that.
And I don't want his pants to fall down, so now he's got a belt buckle to hold him up.
It's beautiful.
And we'll wrap the press conference there.
The hospitality.
Thank you.
You're
Oh, let's
a
put them
you're a
side by
champion.
side. I love this.
There you go.